The Bodhisattva went up to the little dragon and plucked off the shining pearls hanging around his neck. She then dipped her willow branch into the sweet dew in her vase and sprinkled it all over his body. Blowing a mouthful of magic breath on him, she cried, "Change!" The dragon at once changed into a horse with hair of exactly the same color and quality as that of the horse he had swallowed. The Bodhisattva then told him, "You must overcome with utmost diligence all the cursed barriers. When your merit is achieved, you will no longer be an ordinary dragon. You will acquire the true fruit of a golden body." Holding the bit in his mouth, the little dragon humbly accepted the instruction. The Bodhisattva told Wukong to lead him to Tripitaka, saying, "I'm returning across the ocean." Pilgrim took hold of her and refused to let go, saying, "I'm not going on. I'm not going on. The road to the west is so treacherous. If I have to accompany this mortal monk, when will I ever get there? If I have to endure all these miseries, I may well lose my life. What sort of merit do you think I'll achieve? I'm not going. I'm not going." "In years past, before you reached the way of humanity," said the Bodhisattva, "you were most eager to seek enlightenment. Now that you have been delivered from the chastisement of heaven, how could you become slothful again? The truth of Nirvana in our teaching can never be realized without faith and perseverance. If on your journey you should come across any danger that threatens your life, I give you permission to call on heaven, and heaven will respond. To call on earth, and earth will prove efficacious. In the event of extreme difficulty, I myself will come to rescue you. Come closer, and I shall endow you with one more means of power." Plucking 3 leaves from her willow branch, the Bodhisattva placed them at the back of Pilgrim's head, crying, "Change!" They changed at once into 3 hairs with life-saving power. She said to him, "When you find yourself in a helpless and hopeless situation, you may use these according to your needs, and they will deliver you from your particular affliction." After Pilgrim had heard all these kind words, he thanked the Bodhisattva of great mercy and compassion. With scented wind and colored mists swirling around her, the Bodhisattva returned to Potalaka. Lowering the direction of his cloud, Pilgrim tugged at the mane of the horse and led him to Tripitaka, saying, "Master, we have a horse." Highly pleased by what he saw, Tripitaka said, "Disciple, how is it that the horse has grown a little fatter and stronger than before? Where did you find him?" "Master, you are still dreaming," said Pilgrim. "Just now the golden-headed guardian managed to bring the Bodhisattva here, and she transformed the dragon of the stream into our white horse. Except for the missing harness, the color and hair are all the same, and Old Monkey has pulled him here." "Where is the Bodhisattva?" asked Tripitaka, greatly surprised. "Let me go and thank her." "By this time," said Pilgrim, "the Bodhisattva has probably arrived at South Sea. There's no need to bother about that." Picking up a few pinches of earth with his fingers and scattering them like incense, Tripitaka bowed reverently toward the south. He then got up and prepared to leave again with Pilgrim. Having dismissed the mountain god and the local spirit and given instructions to the guardians and the sentinels, Pilgrim asked his master to mount. Tripitaka said, "How can I ride a horse without harness? Let's find a boat to cross this stream, and then we can decide what to do. This master of mine is truly impractical," said Pilgrim. "In the wilds of this mountain, where will you find a boat? Since the horse has lived here for a long time, he must know the water's condition. Just ride him like a boat and we'll cross over." Tripitaka had no choice but to follow his suggestion and climbed onto the bare-backed horse. Pilgrim took up the luggage and they arrived at the edge of the stream. Then they saw an old fisherman punting downstream toward them in an old wooden raft. When Pilgrim caught sight of him, he waved his hands and called out, "Old fisherman, come here. Come here. We come from the land of the east to seek scriptures. It's difficult for my master to cross, so please take us over." Hearing these words, the fisherman quickly punted the raft up to the bank. Asking his master to dismount, Pilgrim helped Tripitaka onto the raft before he embarked the horse and the luggage. That old fisher punted the raft away, and like an arrow in the wind, they crossed the steep Eagle Grief stream swiftly and landed on the western shore. Tripitaka told Pilgrim to untie a bag and take out a few tang pennies to give to the old fisherman. With a shove of his pole, the old fisherman pulled away, saying, "I don't want any money." He drifted downstream and soon disappeared from sight. Feeling very much obliged, Tripitaka kept folding his hands to express his gratitude. "Master," said Pilgrim, "you needn't be so solicitous. Don't you recognize him? He is the water god of this stream. Since he didn't come to pay his respects to Old Monkey, he was about to get a beating. It's enough that he is now spared from that. Would he dare take any money?" The master only half believed him when he climbed onto the bare-backed horse once again. Following Pilgrim, he went up to the main road and set off again toward the west. It would be like this that they, through the vast thusness, reach the other shore, and climb with hearts unfeigned the spirit mount. Master and disciple journeyed on, and soon the fiery sun sank westward as the sky gradually darkened. You see, clouds hazy and aimless, a mountain moon dim and gloomy. The sky, all frosty, builds the cold. Howling wind around cuts through you. One bird is lost midst the pale, wide sandbars. As twilight glows where the distant hills are low, 1,000 trees roar in sparse woods. One ape cries on a barren peak. No traveler is seen on this long road. When boats from afar return for the night. As Tripitaka, riding his horse, peered into the distance, he suddenly saw something like a hamlet beside the road. "Wukong?" he said. "There's a house ahead of us. Let's ask for lodging there and travel again tomorrow." Raising his head to take a look, Pilgrim said, "Master, it's no ordinary house." "Why not?" said Tripitaka. "If it were an ordinary house," said Pilgrim, "there would be no flying fishes or reclining beasts decorating the ridge of its roof. That must be a temple or an abbey." While they were speaking, master and disciple arrived at the gate of the building. Dismounting, Tripitaka saw on top of the gate 3 large characters, Lisha Shrine. They walked inside, where they were met by an old man with some beads hanging around his neck. He came forward with hands folded, saying, "Master, please take a seat." Tripitaka hastily returned his salutation and then went to the main hall to bow to the holy images. The old man called a youth to serve tea, after which Tripitaka asked him, "Why is this shrine named Lisha?" The old man said, "This region belongs to the Hamel kingdom of the Western barbarians. There is a village behind the shrine, which was built from the piety of all its families. The Li refers to the land owned by the whole village, and the Sha is the god of the soil. During the days of spring sowing, summer plowing, autumn harvesting, and winter storing, each of the families would bring the 3 beasts, flowers, and fruits to sacrifice at the shrine, so that they might be blessed with good luck in all 4 seasons, a rich harvest of the 5 grains, and prosperity in raising the 6 domestic creatures." When Tripitaka heard these words, he nodded his head to show his approval, saying, "This is truly like the proverb, even 3 miles from home there are customs entirely distinct. The families in our region do not practice such good works." Then the old man asked, "Where is the honorable home of the master?" "Your poor monk," said Tripitaka, "happens to have been sent by the royal decree from the great Tang nation in the east to go to seek scriptures from Buddha in the western heaven. It was getting rather late when I passed your esteemed edifice. I therefore came to your holy shrine to ask for a night's lodging. I'll leave as soon as it gets light." The old man was delighted and kept saying, "Welcome, welcome." He called the youth again to prepare a meal, which Tripitaka ate with gratitude. As usual, Pilgrim was extremely observant. Noticing a rope for hanging laundry tied under the eaves, he walked over to it and pulled at it until it snapped in 2. He then used the piece of rope to tie up the horse. "Where did you steal this horse?" asked the old man, laughing. "Old man," said Pilgrim angrily, "watch what you are saying. We are holy monks going to worship Buddha. How could we steal horses? If you didn't steal it," laughed the old man, "why is there no saddle or rein, so that you have to rip up my clothesline? This rascal is always so impulsive," said Tripitaka apologetically. "If you wanted to tie up the horse, why didn't you ask the old gentleman properly for a rope? Why did you have to rip up his clothesline? Sir, please don't be angry. Our horse, to tell you the truth, is not a stolen one. When we approached the Eagle Grief stream yesterday from the east, I had a white horse complete with harness. Little did we anticipate that there was a condemned dragon in the stream, who had become a spirit, and who swallowed my horse in one gulp, harness and all. Fortunately, my disciple has some talents, and he was able to bring the Bodhisattva Guanyin to the stream to subdue the dragon. She told him to assume the form of my original white horse, so that he could carry me to worship Buddha in the Western Heaven. It has barely been one day since we crossed the stream and arrived at your holy shrine. We haven't had time to look for a harness. Master, you needn't worry," said the old man. "An old man like me loves to tease, but I had no idea your esteemed disciple was so serious about everything. When I was young, I had a little money, and I, too, loved to ride. But over the years I had my share of misfortunes. Deaths in the family and fires in the household have not left me much. Thus I am reduced to being a caretaker here in the shrine, looking after the fires and incense, and dependent on the goodwill of the patrons in the village back there for a living. I still have in my possession a harness that I have always cherished, and that even in this poverty, I couldn't bear to sell. But since hearing your story, how even the Bodhisattva delivered the divine dragon, and made him change into a horse to carry you, I feel that I must not withhold from giving, either. I shall bring the harness tomorrow, and present it to the master, who, I hope, will be pleased to accept it." When Tripitaka heard this, he thanked him repeatedly. Before long, the youth brought in the evening meal, after which lamps were lit and the beds prepared. Everyone then retired. Next morning, Pilgrim arose and said, "Master, that old caretaker promised last night to give us the harness. Ask him for it. Don't spare him." He had hardly finished speaking when the old man came in with a saddle, together with pads, reins, and the like. Not a single item needed for riding a horse was lacking. He set them down in the corridor, saying, "Master, I am presenting you with this harness." When Tripitaka saw it, he accepted it with delight and asked Pilgrim to try the saddle on the horse. Going forward, Pilgrim took up the accoutrements and examined them piece by piece. They were indeed some magnificent articles, for which we have a testimonial poem. The poem says, "The carved saddle shines with studs of silver stars. The precious seat glows with bright threads of gold. The pads are stacks of fine spun woolen quilts. The reins are 3 bands of purple cords of silk. The bridle's leather straps are shaped like flowers. The flaps have gold-etched forms of dancing beasts. The rings and bit are made of finest steel. Waterproof tassels dangle on both sides." Secretly pleased, Pilgrim put the saddle on the back of the horse, and it seemed to have been made to measure. Tripitaka bowed to thank the old man, who hastily raised him up, saying, "It's nothing. What do you need to thank me for?" The old man did not ask them to stay any longer. Instead, he urged Tripitaka to mount. The priest came out of the gate and climbed into the saddle while Pilgrim followed, hauling the luggage. The old man then took a whip out from his sleeve, with a handle of rattan wrapped in strips of leather, and the strap knitted with cords made of tiger ligaments. He stood by the side of the road and presented it with hands uplifted, saying, "Holy monk, I have a whip here that I may as well give you." Tripitaka accepted it on his horse, saying, "Thanks for your donation. Thanks for your donation." Even as he was saying this, the old man vanished. The priest turned around to look at the Lisha shrine, but it had become just a piece of level ground. From the sky came a voice saying, Holy monk, I'm sorry not to have given you a better reception. I am the local spirit of Potalaka Mountain, who was sent by the Bodhisattva to present you with the harness. You too must journey to the west with all diligence. Do not be slothful in any moment." Tripitaka was so startled that he fell off his horse and bowed toward the sky, saying, "Your disciple is of fleshly eyes and mortal stock, and he does not recognize the holy visage of the deity. Please forgive me. I beseech you to convey my gratitude to the Bodhisattva. Look at him." All he could do was to kowtow toward the sky without bothering to count how many times. By the side of the road, the great sage Sun reeled with laughter. The handsome Monkey King broke up with hilarity. He came up and tugged at his master, saying, "Master, get up. He is long gone. He can't hear you, nor can he see your kowtowing. Why keep up this adoration?" "Disciple," said the priest, "when I kowtowed like that, all you could do was to stand snickering by the side of the road, with not even a bow." "Why? You wouldn't know, would you?" said Pilgrim. "For playing a game of hide-and-seek like that with us, he really deserves a beating. But for the sake of the Bodhisattva, I'll spare him, and that's something already. You think he dares accept a bow from Old Monkey? Old Monkey has been a hero since his youth, and he doesn't know how to bow to people. Even when I saw the Jade Emperor and Lao Tzu, I just gave them my greeting, that's all." "Blasphemy," said Tripitaka. "Stop this idle talk. Let's get going without further delay." So the priest got up and prepared to set off again toward the west. After leaving that place, they had a peaceful journey for 2 months, for all they met were barbarians, Muslims, tigers, wolves, and leopards. Time went by swiftly, and it was again early spring. You could see jade green gilding the mountain forest, and green sprouts of grass appearing. The plum blossoms were all fallen and the willow leaves gently budding. As master and disciple were admiring this scenery of spring, they saw the sun sinking westward again. Reining the horse, Tripitaka peered into the distance and saw at the fold of the hill the shadow of buildings and the dark silhouette of towers. "Wukong?" said Tripitaka. "Look at the buildings over there. What sort of a place is that?" Stretching his neck to look, Pilgrim said, "It has to be either a temple or a monastery. Let's move along and ask for lodging over there." Tripitaka was glad to follow this suggestion and urged his dragon horse forward. We do not know what took place thereafter. Let's listen to the explanation in the next chapter.